Yeah, yeah. Testing, testing. 1, 2. I'm live and direct. Yeah. DJ Gigabyte in the house and Rasma. Can you hear me? This is just a test. I'm starting in 5 minutes. I'll just wait for the people to appear. Nice to hear. Okay. So we're off in a couple of minutes. I'll just do my final tweaks and let's see how this goes. Yeah. I'm not gonna crack a joke or anything. I'm just gonna wait for the awkward silence. Guess that's why it's good that you're not talking. You're just typing. That's good for me, I think, in this scenario at least. Anyways, appreciate you showing up like early birds. This is really amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah, I have an Apollo. It's the, I don't know if you can see it from here. It's the Apollo Twin. I think I show you here. Yeah, the Apollo Twin. And I got the rack mounted Apollo X6 right behind me, right there. Right there. Yeah, they work like a charm. They work together very nicely. What up, Palabi? Thank you for joining. It's so nice to see you. Appreciate it really much. I'm gonna start I have a presentation prepared, so I'm gonna start in 5 minutes. No, 3, 2 minutes, I think. RME interface, Fireface. I have never tried it. All that I've heard about the RMA is that it's fire, as in the name, Fireface. Stable drivers is what I've heard. I've read a lot about it because I have done some digging before purchasing my own interfaces. So I think especially for PC users, Windows users, that's maybe the best choice, but I don't know. Hey, John, nice to see you. So cool that you joined the live. Thank you so much for that. You're welcome. Gene or John? Gene. I gotta get the pronunciation correct. It's like depending on the language. If it's French, it's Jean. If it's English, I think it's Sean. Maybe Jean. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, both. Yeah, we'll go with that. Ola is even worse. It's like Ola, Ole, Ule, Ola. In Italy, it's Ole. So yeah. Right. Okay. I think we're ready. Okay. So yeah, we're a good gang now, I think. And in this live session, I'm going to present 3 things that I think is like important to get to know each other a bit more, because it's always these videos where I give tips and tricks on how to do this and that when it comes to music production and mixing and mastering. But now I've decided that I want to like try to interact a bit more and maybe learn some new stuff, because you're in there typing. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is my inspirations, and I was hoping that you also could chime in on your inspirations or sources of inspiration. And then a very important topic for me that haven't been talked so much about, at least to my knowledge, and that's what kind of information did you have when you started making music? For me, it was really limited, and I'll show you what sources of info that I had starting out. And then finally, I'll go through my history of gear, which isn't that long actually, and I haven't had that much gear, but the pieces of gear that I've had has shaped my style, I think. So here goes nothing. Okay, so let's see. Shift 6. Here we go. No, there we go. Okay, so here you see my PowerPoint presentation. It's really sweet looking with a nice white background, And let's see here. First off is the inspiration part, with a really nice white background there as well. Forgive my my PowerPoint skills. I'll step it up sometime soon. So DJ Gigabyte, your inspiration is Mike Dean. That's really interesting. Got to check that out. Not familiar with that as such. And Bakin, your information was friends' knowledge, and try and fail. We'll come back to information in just a bit. So here's my first source of inspiration, and I haven't got a picture of this, but it's Do the Bartman. And this is really cringy, because I guess that you all have these first inspirations that are like, it's nice to talk about and it sounds cool, but mine is like, it's Do the Bartman from The Simpsons. It was produced by Michael Jackson back in, I think it was 1990, and he also featured in the hook or the chorus, and that was the song that had the lights shining bright for me when it comes to music. But it started way before then. Here's my first source of inspiration as symphony orchestra music, which my parents was teaching me about, because we went to a lot of concerts. And then it was jazz, and that's not cringy at all. I think I sampled jazz up until this day, and Louis Armstrong, he holds himself well in the music space, at least, and on the vinyl records. And the jazz soundtrack made by two of the people from ABBA, the two gentlemen from ABBA, was an album my parents used to play like back in the late 80s. Dire Straits, Brothers in Arms, especially one of the songs, I can't recall it. I Love My MTV or something. It was really, it's kind of set some footprints in my heart. And then we have the regular fellas. If you're born in the late, or if you're born in the early 80s or late 70s, you know about these people. It's MC Hammer and Vanilla Ice. And then we have, and then I stepped up from these two to this fella, and this was the first album I got ever, and it was on a cassette, and it was Ice-T OG Original Gangster. And then we have Public Enemy, NWA, Boogie Down Productions with KRS-One and anyways. And then Black Sheep, and then Das EFX, and this has really shaped my musical style. I think one of those, this is one of the groups that has really revolutionized my style of making music. Poor Righteous Teachers, this album here, Black Business, all the tracks, there are 12 tracks on this album, and every track is fire. Yeah. So these are my sources of inspiration. And Jean, you had classical music, jazz, Earth, Wind and Fire. Yeah, that's the like the 70s disco vibe, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And then of course jazz and classical music. A lot of good stuff. Okay. Now, where did I get my information from? Because I grew up in a small suburb in like 20 kilometers south of Oslo. And there I had 2 or 3 friends, and we were into hip hop, and all the rest were into playing rock music and heavy metal. So we were the outsiders. Everybody else played in bands, and when there was band nights, we were laughed at because we didn't have instruments. And the girls didn't like hip hop either. They were listening to New Kids on the Block and boy bands and such. So our information came mainly from the ONTV Raps with Dr. Dre, Ed Lover, and Fab Five Freddy. And then there was the hip hop magazines, Hip Hop Connection and The Source. And we had some in Norway as well, Fat Cap magazine, for example, which was mainly a graffiti magazine, but also had some hip hop related articles. And then there was Strictly Hip Hop with Tommy T, which is the most prominent figure in hip hop in Norway. And he started way back, I think it was in 1988. He started his radio show, and it later transitioned to National Rap Show, which still is on with this same character right here. And yeah, so those were the sources of information that I had. I didn't know about sampling music until in the mid 90s, almost 97, 98. I learned about sampling. And so I was a late bloomer in that sense. I started making music, I think, in 93 or something, 92, 93. I just had to make music when I heard Pete Rock and Seal Smooth and KRS-One and Gang Starr for the first time. It lighted something inside me that has never gone away up until this day. And now I'm 45, so that's something. Okay, so here's the gear that I started off with, and this is a cassette recorder, and I had two of them, so I could have the instrumental going on one, and then I could rap on top of that into the other cassette recorder. So that was the technique that I would use, and of course the quality was such and such. It wasn't a lot of mixing and mastering involved back then. And then I went over to a drum machine, and this one, I really hated this one. It's the Alesis. It's a 16-pad drum machine. It didn't have a way to, at least not as I figured out, it didn't have swing on it. So it was impossible. Everything was quantized 100% all the time. So it wasn't possible to move the snare or the hi-hat slightly to create some bounce and swing. So the drums were always like plastic sounding, and the included drum sounds that I got was quite geared towards rock music. So I never really got off on a good side with this machine. And then I had this mixer because I bought two turntables and a mixer when I was 14. I walked with newspapers to earn money, and then we would run off to London and buy these players and this mixer right here. And as you can see, I don't know if you can see the bottom on the bottom right there is a round button, and that's a sample button. So I could sample up to 8 seconds of audio, and there are two knobs there, two green knobs, and they would control the mix, and the right knob would control how it would control the speed. So I could record in high speed, and then I could turn it down so that I could at least double or maybe quadruple the sample playing time. And then I would only have one sample that I could trigger, and I couldn't stop it. So if I triggered it, it would go off to the end, or I could trigger it once more, and then it will go again like so. So that's how I started sample based music, together with this machine right here, which is a Fostex 4-track tape recorder. And I would ping pong record from channel. I would record into channel 1, 2, and 3, and then I would bounce all those tracks over to channel 4, and then I would start over with 3 and 2 and bounce everything over to channel 1. So that's ping pong recording for the old school heads. And there was some basic mixing going on here. You could adjust the levels. You could do some basic EQing, no compression at all. And unless you drove the tape into distortion, which I had no idea of what was, so I don't think I did it intentionally. At least maybe I did it unintentionally, and maybe I liked the sound then, but I didn't know what I was doing. So anyways, it wasn't that much, but it was a humble beginning. Uh, yeah, Bakin, that Alessis is probably dope today. You could probably get some good sounds out of it, at least, not to mention with the knowledge that we all now have about how to make music because we have YouTube. So I think that that's at least a good idea, a good thought, at least. And it's really vintage now. Yeah, and then it was, and then I transitioned over to computers, and I was a late bloomer there as well. I didn't get my own computer before 2003. I think it was 2003. I got a stationary computer, cheap, from from a friend who had worked in an office that was closing, and they would give away some computers, and I got one with like, I think it was 2 or 3 gigabytes of space. So I had Cool Edit Pro, and all the processing were done there and then. So I would compress, for example, and it was hard. It was hard process on the audio track. So I couldn't, for example, it wasn't plugins. It was just I would process it there and then. So, but I could record vocals over beats and started making a bit more good sounding music. Cool Edit Pro, that is. And of course, it was free. It was a cracked version. And same goes for my first real music making software, which was Reason. I went in on Reason on 2.5, and really love the Red Drum, and I used Red Drum for everything from sampling to, there are other samplers in Reason, but at version 2.5 as well. But the Red Drum was my definite go-to in that place. And then I got also, before actually Reason, I just want to show you. I'm gonna pull this up because I still have it. Well, one moment. I'll just put this thing right here. Let's see. Oops. This one. Let's see if I can enhance myself a bit. So, okay, this one. So this is the Korg ES1. It's a sampler. I think it's more geared towards electronic music or EDM, but it has a decent sampler, and it has 16 pads, and it really feels like the Red Drum in Reason. But this one I got before I got Reason, and I started making beats on it. I think I got this one in circa 1999, 2000s, and it has done its work. It really doesn't make a lot of sense using it now. It's really it's a slow burn. You making music on this one. It's a slow burn. Guess it's like making music on an MPC 2000 XL now. It's like, of course, it's a great machine and it sounds good, but there are faster and more options that are more fluent in features, for example, right now. So, but of course, I wouldn't mind having an MPC, a classic MPC, of course, but I don't think I would make that much music on it. Now, my question to you is, where do your inspirations come from? I have already seen some answers in the chat, and what was your first piece of gear? That would be amazing to see. What do you have? Let's see. Feel free to chime in. What was your first piece of music making gear? As mentioned, mine was the, let's see. Yeah, mine was the cassette recorder. Two cassette recorders, vintage boom boxes. But fortunately, we have moved forwards. Oh yeah, the Minilab 3 from Arturia. Is that a software, gigabyte? Is that a software or hardware? Oh yeah, Behringer microphones, Bakken. Um, the Behringers, I started to hate Behringer because I had a DJ mixer from Behringer, which was faulty in any ways, in any shape that I could figure. All the faders was cracking, but I think they have good microphones. Oh yeah, Pallavi. Um, oh, you had the same Korgs. That it's a series. There are many. There's a synth I know about that's in the same series as the ES1. They have good sound. No, Behringer isn't known for their quality. No, it isn't. But I think that when it comes to microphones, there's no moving parts. So even though the capsule and all the components are cheap, I think you can get some decent sound out of it. Anyways, that's what I've heard. I've tried a Behringer microphone once, and it wasn't bad. But I think that if you once you drop it on the floor, it might not be as sturdy as a Shure, for example. Oh yeah, Jean, with the Atari with Cubase. Wow, that's really old school. I remember I had an Amiga 500, and I was trying to use it for music making, and I wanted to buy a secondhand audio interface to connect to the Amiga, and that was way back when you had to meet up. So I went to Oslo Central Station to meet up with this guy, and he never showed up. So I ended up spending 3 hours waiting for a guy, and I even had them call his name on the caller system on the central station. It was a nightmare. Actually, it felt really bad. But I wish I had that audio interface, because then I would make music with my Amiga. And the Cubase, I think that was like some of the first versions of Cubase, Jean, with the Atari, I think. Oh, what would be my dream microphone for vocals? There's actually a microphone out now. I think it's called Aura or something. That it's really magical. I don't remember. I think it's from Live With Audio. Am I right? I think it was you who showed me that back in way back a couple of days ago. I think you popped me a message about that new microphone. It's called Aura, I think, and you can. It sounds the same however your mouth is placed according to the mic, and that's really magical. But if I had to choose, of course, maybe I would go for maybe not a vintage one, but some modern iteration of the Telefunken, a 47 or a 49, or some high-end piece of like the Sony 800G or something like high touch. If I could choose anything and someone would give it to me for free. I'm also planning on getting a Shure SM7B. That will be nice. Yeah. Yes. Anyways, I think I will. I promised. I promised to keep it short, but I also promised a giveaway. I don't think I remembered to mention that initially, but I'm in luck because no one has left. I think everybody's still here. So my gift to you is you can. I will update the information down in the description. In like 2 minutes after I'm ending this session, I will update it with the link to my website, and you can go there, and you can go check that. You can go check out my website, and I will link to you my email address, because you just in this evening just send me a mail and say hi from the chat or hi from the live or something, and I will give you 3 things. I will give you if you wanna, it's no, I'm not forcing you, and I'm not selling anything either. I'm just giving you a consultation call if you want it, like when it comes to mixing or mastering or production or whatever. If you have any struggles, we can jump on a call and just figure out if there's anything that's like holding you back from getting as good sound as possible. That's like a consulting call. I will give you either that, or I would give you a free mix and master for a song. Because I'm starting this campaign now at May 2nd. It's like in 3 days. Thursday will be Thursday this week. I'm starting a campaign, and the first 5 to jump on it will get a free mix and master, because I'm having this free test mix thing going on my website. I've already done, I think, 5 or 6 mixes since I launched it earlier early last week. And I will give it to you for absolutely free, so you will get a free mix and master. Or you can get my free 150 beats beat pack, which is no longer available anywhere. It's just as a link. If you want rap beats to do whatever you want with, I have them for you. So yeah, so just send me an email and with the what's it called, the subject line, with the subject line, call it live, and tell me what you want most, and I'll give it to you. Sounds good? Thank you so much for watching and joining in on the chat, chiming in. I really appreciate it. And if you were in the live and I haven't seen you for some reason, and if you haven't written anything in the live chat, and this offer still applies to you. So thank you so much. And I hope I see you in the next live. I think that will be in a month. So I won't do this that often, but if it turns out to be an okay thing to do, I will do it. I will continue doing it more and more. So anyways, thank you so much for joining, and I hope I see you in the next one. Peace.